I already know.
Um,
I was like, oh,
Do I have a
we
motion
weren't
to go into
getting-
executive
so-
session?
I will make a motion to go into executive session. Is there something else I need to say?
Just the whole thing?
The whole
Yeah.
little
In
spiel.
accordance with Idaho Code Section 74206(1)B, the board may elect to hold an executive session to consider the evaluation, dismissal, or disciplining of, or to hear complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent, or public school student.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
No.
All right, Hillary?
Aye.
JD?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Kirsty?
Aye.
And I'm an aye too. So. Executive session. I'd like to call this meeting to order and stand for the pledge of allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion that we approve the agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And any discussion? Hope not. Hillary?
Aye.
Davey? Michael?
Aye.
Kirsty?
Aye.
And I for me. All right. Superintendent's report.
This will be quick, but 2 weeks ago, we had the Youth Fentanyl Summit. And Kuna, we had our Kuna Middle School kids, we had West End Middle School kids, and Boise Middle School kids. And there was 130 kids there, and I shared a little bit about that, but our kids did fabulous. And the point of it to come back was to do some peer-to-peer messaging. So they're gonna be working on that during Red Ribbon Week. We also got it's a Kroger settlement grant from the city. They gave us some money to help with that. And so all 5 of our secondary schools are gonna get their enclosed TVs, but it can run messages, positive messages, it can run trivia questions, it'll stay up there forever through a number of years. So it's a carry-on from the summit, and it'll go through the year. And we've had a lot of different agencies that have said, we'll give you money to help support that. So fortunately, it's for prevention, and it's just, our kids were great.
Awesome.
Yes, so I just wanted to share that, because our kids did a great job.
Does that have to go with this letter that we got from the U.S. Department of Justice about also first ever fentanyl use summit held? Does that go
The
along with
U.S.
that?
attorney, he's the one that, last January, I went to a meeting with him in Boise, and they asked me to do it, because we've been doing the prevention work here, so that's how that helped, so.
That's awesome.
Okay.
So I just want everyone to know that we received a letter from the U.S. Department of Justice, Joshua D. Hurwitz, kind of saying that they are very happy that we did the first ever fentanyl use summit held in Idaho. So good for CUNA, and thank you,
Yeah.
Superintendent Beckadall. All right.
It's great.
Emergency levy money update.
This is just a thank you to you. Thank you to the board for approving that, because we had some needs in every school, and we were able to lower some class size, we were able to offer some supports, we were able to get the help where they needed it. We had gone to all of the principals and asked, like, where do you need help? And so we had all of that information. So once the emergency levy passed, we were able to go and support the principals, and I know it was a huge relief. So I just want to say thank you for that.
All right.
I know this isn't on there. Could I just do a quick, in our front row, we have our new CFO, Brad Stedman. He is accepted the offer. So he came today. So I just wanted him to say hi and you to see a name with a face.
Welcome.
Welcome, thank you.
Yeah.
Welcome to CUNA.
He'll start October 28th.
Awesome.
But anyway, you'll really like him. We think he's gonna be a good guy.
All
So
right.
thanks for being here tonight.
All right. All right, moving right along. A community levy meeting update. Trustee Bruce, Trustee Thornton, and Assistant Superintendent Reddy.
I'm happy to start if you want. And fill in. Last Tuesday, we had our 3rd meeting with our levy group, and we have a very empowered and activated group of parents that are I think well organized and working hard to get the word out there about the levy, give good data and information about it, clear up any miscommunications. If you've been on the corner of Deer Flat and Meridian Road,
That was awesome.
you've probably seen some big signs that have been set up from a community member. So people are getting, the word is out there. and people know for sure that there's a levy on the books. We just need to make sure that people know that it's on the back of the 4th page of the ballot. So you gotta turn all the way there and get there. That's something we've heard from people in the past, that it's kind of a long ways down on the ballot. But I think all in all, we've got some good things happening, some helpful people, and yeah, I think there's some good momentum. We have coming up, we'll be presenting at the Chamber of Commerce. We have a business leaders luncheon that we're working on. We have probably 1, maybe 2 more levy committee group meetings, where we meet at Swan Falls and just give those folks an opportunity to work, and we can kind of help them get organized. And I think a lot of it has been helping people get good information related to what is on the ballot, what's not on the ballot, what it means if it passes, what it means if it doesn't pass, those kinds of things. So I know that both of our trustees have been there and kind of kicked off the meeting a few times, so if there's anything you guys would like to add, I don't want to steal all of your thunder.
No, well, the last meeting was more parents collaborating and really allowing them to work together and kind of stepping back and letting them do what they think is best for their advocacy for the levy. So
I think it's been great driving around Kuna to see the signs, and I do feel a more positive, I want to say, feeling, and so I'm excited, and I'm excited for what we can do for the kids. I think it's great, so thank
Jason and I
you.
were at the Lions Club meeting last night, and we were able to talk to them, and they had some good questions and very supportive.
That's great.
It seems like for the last 10 years, it seems like we have probably a bigger group helping out than we ever have. Seems like we're doing a lot of good work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it seems
Hopefully.
like a lot of people are getting involved, which I think that's what it takes. So, good job, thank you. Okay, update on our vape sensor grant.
Yeah, this one's still me. This is actually a very quick, I think, action item for you guys. You will be reminded, I guess it's not an action, well, it's an update, I guess. That we are going to be installing and purchasing the vape sensors that we got a grant for from the Office of Drug Policy, right? Office, is that? From the state. Anyway, sorry. So we're gonna be working on getting those put in. We'll put some in to try to get started, and then the majority of the work will probably happen over spring break. But just wanna make sure you guys are aware we'll be purchasing those devices. We did some work over the summer to bolster the software platform that hosts and manages those endpoint devices. So we're ready to start installing them. It's kind of been a process to get to the place where we are today. So got to pull cables and put them in and all that kind of stuff. So it's all pure grant money too. It's nothing general fund. It's all from a grant.
And these are just for the high school. I met with Katie Watkins yesterday. She came out here and I said, what about the middle schools? And she said, we're working on it. We're working on it. And I said, okay, because all this money has to go to our high schools, which is fine, but they are working on trying to help us with the middle school.
Is it for bathrooms? Is that mainly where they'll go?
Yes, mainly bathrooms and locker rooms. I think did we identify some areas there? Yeah. Thank you. Cam and those guys have worked really hard with our vendor to identify the areas and get them in the key spots where they're important. So.
That's great, and great that you got a grant to do that, so, thank you.
That's all.
All right, little celebration here, the 2024 Human Rights Educator of the Year.
And I'm gonna turn this over to Michelle Moore because it's her teacher, so.
So we were recently notified that on October 26th, the Wasmus Center for Human Rights will be honoring and recognizing Maestra Tanya Bersenio, she's one of our kindergarten teachers in dual language, as Idaho's 2024 Human Rights Educator of the Year. This award recognizes an individual who has made a significant impact advancing human rights education in our state. The selection committee is composed of various educators as part of the center's teacher leadership council, and they go over every nomination that's been submitted, and they consider the weight of each of those applications for the nominations. This year's fields of candidates, we are told, was crowded by truly remarkable teachers, but Tanya's commitments to human rights education, collaboration, her approach, and her impact stood out. Maestro Briceño's influence was evident in the comments yielded by colleagues and parents. One of her colleagues described the way that she treats her kindergarten students each day with dignity, while radiating kindness, joy, and an infectious dedication to education. Her colleague also said that she admires the way that Tanya advocates for her students, the way she shares her knowledge with her colleagues, and how she serves as a leader in the field of the dual language program. One of the parents wrote and nominated Tanya for encouraging students to learn about other cultures, inspiring curiosity, inclusivity, and acceptance. She says as her daughter has grown up, she continues to hold the lessons that she's learned from Maestro Briceño's class. The Wasmussen Center is going to be honoring Tanya at this year's Change the World celebration. We are honored at Reed, Kevin, you can speak to this, to have Tanya as one of our educators, a collaborator, a teammate, and a role model for our students and for our staff. So we are very proud of her. She's honored will be here tonight. We will celebrate her in the building.
Thank you.
Congratulations, way to go. And another celebration.
Another celebration.
Idaho State Board of Education FAFSA
Yeah.
School of Excellence 2024, Kuna
This
High
is,
School.
this is a big deal for Kuna and for Kuna High School, with the Idaho State Board of Education recognizing our high school for being a school of excellence for FAFSA. Angeli Bauer, our administrators, our teachers, I mean, they do a fabulous job of helping kids and making sure that those kids have their FAFSAs turned in and they can go to college or whatever they want to do, but we do a fabulous job. Angeli Bauer and the staff at Kuna High School and Swan Falls. And so for us to be recognized as a school of excellence is a really big deal. So we're really proud of that one.
That's awesome. Awesome. All right, our Kuna Cayman Mentorship Program, and I saw this is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so happy.
So Superintendent Becknell asked me to come and just kind of clarify and celebrate this, which is an amazing program. It aired on Channel 6 2 weeks ago, and it said that it's a booster program, and Coach Smith created our football boosters. The boosters have already been in place. It was Bo's program he brought with him to Idaho from Texas called the Tribe. And it's a Big Brother program where I know your son's matched up with a kid where our football players are matched up with senior or elementary school kids. And they exchange letters, they stand with them on the sideline, they run out with them in the tunnel on the field. And it's gained a lot of ground and positive exposure for our kids, our elementary school kids, our high school, and our football program. And then last Thursday, I got a text from Maggie O'Mara at Channel 7 about our seniors welcoming our elementary school kids into every school in the district. And they sent a camera crew out to Silver Trail where I sent Coach Smith. They interviewed Coach Smith again, and they got pictures on it. It was all over social media with all of our athletic Instagram page and Twitter pages. It had tons of positive impact, and so it's just a really awesome thing for our community. So we've done well this year. We've been on the news for our military first responders night, been on the news for this, and now we'll be on Channel 7 again. So it's been awesome. It's made up of good people. So.
I think it's a great way to do that program too, to invite those younger kids, to get them excited
Yeah.
about someday playing football and to do just that mentorship.
Yeah.
That was really good.
And me and the admin team, we split up with district office leadership, and I was at Ross and Indian Creek, and kids kind of went up to our football players asking for autographs.
That's cool.
And it's like the first time this football players ever signed an autograph in their lives. So,
That's cool.
and I just know the impact of what high school kids have on those small kids. Being a product of that, growing up 7 years old when Centennial High School was built, with my dad being there, I looked up those high school kids as heroes, and that's what our boys are doing now.
Yeah. I mean, I always like to win, but win or lose, this is a program that everyone's a winner at, and I think it's awesome.
It's just gonna grow.
It's amazing, and the
Yeah.
kids are just the cutest, and they love these kids. It's great.
When
I love it.
we were at Hubbard, and the little kids would get out of their car, and the parents were smiling. Little kids would get out of the car, and someone would be like, I played football.
Oh.
You know, and they were just so cute, but it was fun, so.
I think that's
We said
awesome.
every Thursday morning, we need to start at school.
All right.
I know my little Optimist seventh grade football team, when all the home games on Friday night, we meet at a central location at the games, and they love it.
Yeah.
It's been awesome. And our little team's in the semifinals right now, we're 7-0, so.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
And they're coming up.
My son's team is 7-0 the other way. They're optimists, but they were on the news too. Channel 7 is part of the ones with no shirts on with the Kuna painted on. And the little guy that is my son's buddy came up and was like, oh, Max is pretty much my best friend.
Yeah.
Like his
Yeah.
tribe buddy. He was like so excited to know
Yeah, yeah.
him, and so I think it's an amazing program, and I really feel like it's just one small piece of all the positivity that's happening with football.
Yeah.
And like the messaging every week to the students and the elevated expectations are just really impressive. So,
Yeah, it's just gonna grow,
yeah.
and there's a high probability we'll host a week 9 game too. So we might not be done hosting, so the games might not be done running out in the
All
field.
right.
That's awesome.
When would that be roughly?
2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, okay.
Let the coach know that we're very impressed and pleased with what he's doing, so thank you.
Yeah, and one of the great things about Coach Smith, he's very humble. He doesn't, and that's just with everything. Like the success we've had, he doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. He rides right in the middle. You know, he's lukewarm, so which is great mentality to have. And not a lot of young coaches have that mentality.
It's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any patron comments? Any patron? No? Child nutrition plan, public hearing, Manager Swanson.
Good evening. Do you have a slide up there? So we're proposing a progressive meal price for our high school lunches to provide more flexibility and options for students and to help better manage our costs. And by offering different pricing tiers, students can choose meals that fit their preferences and their budgets. So when you look at this slide, you can see that on our federal reimbursement rates, it's clear that we can cover the costs associated with just standard meals, but things like a bacon cheeseburger takes extra meals. So, and come with a additional cost. So you can see the difference that we make on a meal from our paid students to our free students. Next slide. So we are proposing that we offer premium meals at a cost of $5. And a premium meal may be a deluxe bacon cheeseburger, it may be a supreme pizza, anything like that. So it takes additional items to make that meal. And we would like to charge a little more price for that and to give the kids more options. Do we have any questions?
So this is just for high school?
Just for high school, yeah.
And so free and like if you have a free or reduced lunch, which meal do you get?
It doesn't matter.
You can get whichever meal you want. Okay.
That's a requirement by
Yeah.
USDA, yes.
Okay. I feel better about that.
Great
Well,
question.
but they won't like help us on that premium meal cost though, right? Yeah.
No, we've got to balance that budget ourselves. Yeah. We're just finding with the meal prices or the overall cost for the meal, we just can't offer that supreme pizza and that, barbecue chicken pizza that we make from scratch. We just can't do it anymore because we just don't make enough money.
And have you ever done this before?
No,
Oh.
this will be new.
So just kind of have an expectation of like what percentage of students will opt for a premium meal?
We
versus-
don't really know. I mean, we know that they've eaten that in the past when we could offer it before. They miss their bacon cheeseburgers right now, but with the price of bacon, we just can't put it on there. And so we're hoping to bring it back, and for those that can afford it, and between that, the paid student and the reimbursement rates, it's up to us to balance that budget.
Okay. Says comments from patrons regarding the meal plan increase, is that, no, that's,
So it's a public hearing, so we need to have, if there's any public comment.
okay. Is there any public comment? Okay, thank you, appreciate that. All right. We're on our action items now, and the first one is superintendent search. And before I have you come up, Katie, I know that we've been talking, and I want to know if we have a motion.
Did we need to vote on the food or no?
That's down later.
It's
later.
It's coming down more.
Okay.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we extend
Oh.
Superintendent Kim Beckendall an extra year on her contract.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, ready to vote? Kirsty?
Oh.
Michael?
Yes.
JD?
Yes.
Hillary?
No.
Okay, and yes for me. So at this time, Kim, would you be willing to do another year for a contract with us? And with that being said, then, I'm not sure where we go here on this, so would you like to maybe clue us in a little bit?
Absolutely.
This is new for me.
Yeah, no worries. I'm glad you found something that worked for you. So, we can postpone the search. We've got materials created already. So, next year when this comes up, if you're feeling ready to do a search again, or whatever your next steps look like next year, we can start where we're at right now. It would be really easy with it being just a year apart to update the brochure, do all of that. I don't know if you want me to go over the survey results with you at this moment in time, but I did do a community survey overview sheet, so you have an overview of kind of all of the topics and trends I saw in both the community and staff overview. You can look at that.
Yeah, I would love to see that. I for time, it might be,
Yeah,
because we've got a lot to do tonight.
Yeah.
But I would sure like to see them.
Absolutely.
How do you guys feel?
I mean, I feel like we have it right here and it's a year away, so I say we table it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll table it.
yeah.
And I read all those.
So did I.
so-
Yeah, I read all the comments, but I haven't read your update, so I will be
Yes.
doing that.
Yeah. So, and like I said, we'll be around. We'll be here to help you when you need it. And, if you have any questions for us in the meantime, we're happy to help answer them.
Yeah.
And
Can I say, Katie, you've been a joy to work with. Thank you so much
absolutely.
in coming out here and helping us as we started this procedure. So
Yeah,
thank you
absolutely.
very much for your
Thank you.
time.
Yeah,
Appreciate
you're welcome.
it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much. All right. On our facility bills, 521, Assistant Superintendent grades.
So fast in the last month, I was able to meet with Amber from LKV. Got everything filed she needed. She got all the submissions to me. We finalized the Kuna School District map submission, which I'll be presenting for you guys. I need to review the 10-year plan with our board, and there's one form that I'll have. If you guys are okay with everything, Madam Chair, mix and sign, and then I can either push the button tonight or first thing in the morning. Deadline is the 10th, so we got all kinds of time. There is another submission, but we were able to get it finished in time. So if you click on the next button, only things that you're gonna see rated for each building are in that fair, poor, or replace categories, because these are the items that we would need to spend money to replace in the next 10 years. The next few slides are just each school and everything that's listed in the fair, poor, or replace categories. What LKV was able to help us do with Bennington is we took our 2016 plan, our 2018 plan, and then the plan right before the last time we tried to pass the bond. So they had all the information. It was really easy. They just had to update numbers for us. They did combine what we asked for in bonds as well, so you're gonna see a really large number. So now each school is broken out, and when they would recommend replacement of each item, you're gonna quickly see, if you're quick with math, that 36 million, 47 million, this number's gonna go way over, just a touch over 440 million. That's not what we're gonna get from the House bill.
Yeah.
But it combines, like, the Swamp Falls item is the build out. The new elementary is, so there's a lot of things that we'll have to do in capital plan after hopefully a successful November.
So this is important to get this going for 521 so that we can get to the state. And I guess I had a question personally. When it says, where was it? Hold on. I think it says, are we gonna be looking at, when it says replace, are those the first things we're gonna be looking at then?
Correct.
With this bill?
Correct.
Correct? Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood that.
Yeah, those are the ones that we deemed as critical.
Yeah. Okay. And then
Net-
you'll go from there.
Yeah.
So I like the way that you guys got that down to look at that.
Having an unfair advantage of having Amber involved with the state, she actually helped the state do all the paperwork and make this process. And Amber is the V of LKV, literally. And she's such a great partner for us. And they didn't charge us anything. She was able to, they compiled everything for us, so.
Wow, that's good.
When you think of all the money that Superintendent Bechtel's got through grants, just remember me for this. The next slide shows you the questionnaire that I have filled out. All of our answers are yes. Yes, we are in compliance with the dignity and non-discretion in public education requirements specified in Idaho Code 33138. The school district does attest that it does not require job applicants to sign written diversity statements. School district meets minimum student instruction in law or the minimum instruction days. School modernization fund must be utilized in a manner that aligns with the district's core educational mission in compliance with the House Bill 521. School district leadership has watched the required Department of Education webinars. If you guys would like to watch them, I can watch them a second time with you. They're delightful. And then lastly, we chose the lump sum.
Thank you.
And then I listed Bennington, LKV, our board, because you have to, as well as myself and Superintendent Bechtel. And then lastly is the date is today that this was shared with you. We've been doing updates as well. And then I need 2 signatures, so I know what's in your folder.
Yes.
And then once I have that, I scan that in. That's the last document that this 3-month procedure needed, and then I can push the button.
All right, and it's not an action item, it's just an update, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
unless we don't want that.
No, I've already signed it. It's ready to go. All right, any other questions? Comments? Okay. Second reading of policy.
These are really fast. So 305 was a policy that you guys worked on together as a group. The only change that was made from our meeting was we fixed the, can write a book.
Yes, that's the one. Yes, I'm sorry, I think that's a little hard for superintendents to do, but yeah, that was one.
I expect one.
Yeah.
And this was second read, so if there's anything that you guys see, this will be in consent agenda.
Okay. Do I have a motion that we accept the second reading of policy 305?
I so move.
Second.
Okay, I should have said motion. Any discussion? Sorry, I had to think. All right, Hillary?
Aye.
JD?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Kirsty?
Aye.
And I'm an aye also. All right, we're on the third reading of policy 570, athletic fees.
Yeah, and this one has kind of been on hold for a while as we discussed, were we gonna change athletic fees or not? So the only thing that was added for third read was these correct numbers of 105 for the high school and 5250 for the middle school.
Right, we were just waiting to put that in if I remember correctly. All right, do I have a motion that we accept the third reading of policy 570 athletic fees?
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
Please? I know that it, in speaking to some of the leadership of athletics, and I don't know if this is the proper policy to put it in, but they would like to see maybe a little bit higher limit to where they have to have two bids. I guess most school districts in the valley have a little bit higher limit. It's more like 25,000 instead of 5,000, so they can get like helmets refurbished quickly. Is that something that could be in this policy, or is that something else that we can just add to another policy?
Were you thinking just for athletics or just that
I
threshold
mean,
of
it's just
$5,000?
money that's not district money, that's like booster money and things, like it's kind of cumbersome, and so that's just kind of something that they talked about. So I don't know if this is the proper spot, but if it's not, then maybe we can put that on the agenda
For-
for the for another policy.
I know that in the business section is where we
Okay.
talk about the thresholds
Okay.
for what pieces, but there might actually.
I know it says 5,000, and so I just
Correct.
wonder if we can adjust, or like visit the idea of adjusting that a bit
Absolutely.
higher.
Yeah, 5,000 doesn't quite buy you what it
It's
is.
pretty tough these days. It feels like an old number.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's a
Yeah.
place I can lean on Brad's expertise too in the world as far as when you have to do extra bids. But I know that there's quite a few policies I'm gonna take advantage of that when we were one last time, and then I'll run by Brad too, so you can see all that. I think there's 6 in the 800s for next.
Yeah.
Those of you that missed policies are back. The committee will be back for November and December.
Oh, wow, yay.
I think also when it's not district money too,
Right.
it's like,
Sure.
it's confusing sometimes for people that don't understand that.
Yeah.
So it just like brings up another red flag for the public. I think that we're just willy-nilly spending money when it's not even the district money.
Sure.
Which is a
Okay.
good point.
So another time, sorry to hold this up, but just maybe we can
I
put
can
that
use
on
some
the.
homework though, and I'll
Okay.
get back to you
All
on
right,
which policy,
thanks.
absolutely.
Thanks, Hillary. All right. Now do I have a motion to accept?
I'd make a motion to accept the third
Okay,
reading of policy 570.
do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All right, Kirsty?
Aye.
Michael? JD?
Aye.
Hillary?
Aye.
And aye for me. All right. And now, we are on new business with discussion and action items. And our first one is with Dan Holmquist. Is that
He will be virtual,
right?
and he was at another board meeting tonight, so he will not be able to get in until about 7:20.
Wow. Well, we can just
So
move
we
that on
can
down.
move to the next
Sure.
item, and then we'll come back to him.
Sure. The next item is to consider November 5th, 2024 as a no school and trade, April 18th. Type of.
I think we just, on here, just consider November 5th.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So, November 5th is election day, and so there's a number of schools that already, so and we had SIC this morning too with the superintendents. And so we asked them some of their information, like, do you have this, was it built into your calendar, how did you do this? So first of all, at the beginning of the year, you have to turn in your instructional hours or minutes to the state. And so it's not the elementary that's usually, I mean, they're usually good, but it's the seniors and it's the alternative high schools that you have to worry about. But every school district gets 2 emergency days. And so they're 2 days that you don't have to make up anything, you don't have to worry about those instructional minutes. So we could take November 5th, the election day, as an emergency day with no problems from the state. We have 3 of our elementary sites that are polling sites. They're K-5, our bigger schools. So there was a concern about having, kids on campus, and then some of the teachers were like, well, what about us as well? So some of the districts had already planned to have like that as a PD day. We had not planned for that, and it's a little bit late. So we did consider that maybe November 5th could just be an emergency day, and that would be fine with the state. We don't have to clarify anything. The thing we have to hope for is that we
No
don't have 2 snow days, because
Okay.
if we did have more than 2 days, then we would have to use that April day possibly. But if we don't have snow days, we're fine to take November 5th as a no school day. The other thing about that is that when we spoke to, so at the SIC superintendents, you have Boise, West Ada, Middleton, Valley View, Caldwell, Nampa, us, and Mountain Home. They are also looking at their calendars for the other elections of, May, November and May, of what they want to do and have it as a PD day or work day. It's so late in May though that you're hitting graduations that week, so it's something that we will consider. Also, last year, the legislators were trying to pass a bill to have no school on those 2 election days, and it passed the House but not the Senate, but it is coming back up again for those 2 days, so that's something to consider. It might pass, and we don't have to worry about it. But right now, the consideration would be November 5th. If we could do it as a no school for anybody.
Emergency day.
An emergency day, and we wouldn't have to make up anything, we don't have to turn anything into the state.
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny, I guess, to, it's good to let the students out, but, because,
Yeah.
it's for their safety.
Yeah.
But then the teachers would have to come for a PD, like, are they not, kids that need to be safe too?
Well,
I mean,
that was
so-
what some of the teachers said. Now, in the other districts, they're having it as a PD day. Of course, they're not in the buildings where they're polling sites, but it's just late for us to do that right now. And we don't have to if you don't want to.
Yeah.
But if you want it as an option, it's an option.
I
And-
think it's a really good idea, and I just think also it's gonna be high voter turnout likely, and the parking lots are gonna be a
That's-
huge
that was
mess.
the
There's
other
just
thing, yep.
tons of traffic, and parking is already a problem.
Yeah.
I just think I've always felt like it felt questionable dropping my kids off on election days.
Yeah.
When strangers are going in and out, it doesn't feel like a secure building anymore with the way the world is.
That's
and-
exactly right, though. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. In Crimson Point, in Reed, the traffic and trying to park in there, we also considered that as well. So we were we did a lot of kind of checking with a lot of places. I checked with all the districts. We also checked again today with SIC. And we can do that, and if you would
I think
want to
it's
do that.
I think it's a good idea. I know Hillary brought it up to me, and I think it's an awesome idea.
Yeah.
I
So-
make a motion that we use November 5th as an emergency day and not have school for the election.
You
I
got-
second.
Okay. Any discussion? All right, Kirsty?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
JD?
Aye.
Hillary?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay?
I was just gonna say, when Boise did that too, the parents were really happy
Mhm.
about that as well. So they had good feedback from it, so I hope that.
I think it's a good idea to consider, like, when we're making the calendar, like you said,
Yeah.
for future elections.
Yeah.
I do too. I think it's important to keep those kids safe.
Yeah.
And you don't know in today's atmosphere, political, I just think it's
Yeah.
a smart thing to do.
And you're right, everybody coming onto your campus,
Yeah.
anybody can come onto your campus to vote.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's true. All
thank
right.
you.
I make a motion that we approve the premium meal plan that was presented to us by Manager Swanson.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All right, Hillary?
Aye.
JD?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Kirsty?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. All right. And now we have a pump station land lab. Mr. Reno, Mr. Vickers, going to present. I'm excited about this. I think it's great. Whew. Oh, and Mr. Edwards.
Yes.
Excuse me. Yeah.
He's here to,
I didn't see you, Mr. Edwards, sorry.
he's the eye candy.
Madam Chair, trustees,
Yeah.
an update on the land lab and an action item on the land lab that we present to you.
So as you know, last spring we put in for the Idaho Career Ready Students Grant for $1,034,000. It got denied because we're not rural. And so after some discussions and staying close to the committee and talking to the chairperson, she came back to us and said, hey, there's another batch of money. And so she encouraged us to reapply. So we did reapply.
And we got $940,000, and I say only $940,000, but hey, that's something. I gotta tell you though, the $1,034,000 was bare bones. And so they did pare it down a little bit because of less money, and then a couple things that they couldn't spend money on in the grant. So that's where we're at. So we're at a place where our partnerships are going to be huge. Go ahead with the next slide. So this is what we're looking at. This is just a mock-up that we've got. The building, we'll probably have windows in here, but over here are stalls. If you go to the next one, please. What we really are shooting for is something that has some classrooms, office space, restrooms, and then on the side stalls. So the building will come down, it will cover. And what this is all about is our kids. It's all about our kids who live in the city that can't raise a pig or a sheep or a cow, anything. We want them to have that opportunity to do that. And so that's going to be we'll build in the infrastructure, we're going to build this here, but we really have to work on our partnerships. So one of the partnerships that we're going to be working on is with the city a little bit.
Next slide. So, in the planning process, we learned a lot about the Land Use Act. If there's a subdivision already built, you can't put a farm or agricultural needs in there. So we've been working with the city, and the number of pens, because you have processing facilities, you have different permits, different things from the city to make us applicable to do what we want to do. So we designed, with Travis's help, design that to meet the Land Use Act, to where we can put it on the farmland that is designated ag, but there's subdivisions around it. We did have a developer donate 5 acres that this could have gone on, but not because of this. It couldn't have gone there. So we had to go, okay, where can we go that we already have land that's designated agricultural? And so go next slide. That takes us to our 100 acres here. So what we're proposing or asking for you is to take about 5 acres of this, and this might not be the final, but just this section area, use that for land lab. And then the city, work with the city, because you gotta do a lot of planning and preparing for this. They are needing a pump station in this area to pump the water to all the homes up and down this line. If we allow them to put a pump station that's either a 1/4 acre or 0.33 acres in this corner that's not really usable for us, then we can share some of the permitting costs, some of the sewer costs, because the permit fee for a sewer is $4,000 just for the permit. And so they might waive those fees and those permits, allowing them, when we first have to get your authorization, to allow them to use this along with the 5 acres that we're gonna use in the land for the land lab.
Can you back up again
Yeah.
in that last picture?
So initially, we asked for 5 acres, and you guys approved 5 acres. So what we're doing is just pushing it a little bit to 5.25 or 5.33 acres. Because we want to keep a hold of the 5 acres, because with the land lab, we're gonna need to fence it in. We're looking at the possibility of doing a place for our soils competitions. We're also looking for a possibility to plant some hay to feed the livestock and stuff that we've got in there. So there's a lot of big plans. We need that space.
Where's the city's 20 acres in
So if you
relationship to ours?
If you look, if you pretend this is a line right here, and this is a line right here, the city's 20 acres is right here. There's a 40-acre plat that's here, the city, and a 20-acre plat right here.
I like the idea of having them cut us some slack for permitting, but I struggle with the fact that they want to put that on our property when they have 20 acres right next to us. That doesn't make any sense.
That's
to
what
me.
I was kind of thinking too.
The reason they have to do it because the water lines are on this. Remember when Kuna Road was closed forever? The water lines are on this. There's no water lines on here. This is like the trunk line.
They can put a water line there.
Yeah, yes, they could. But
But they're
yeah.
willing to help us with
I know.
the permits
I
too.
feel like they should be willing to do that anyway.
Yes, I struggle
Like-
with that.
I would like that too.
So, can I ask another question if you back up to the last slide, even before, or the one before that with the picture? So, I just have a few questions, like I'm an ag supporter, but I also know what it's like when kids take care of animals. And I just imagine, like, who's responsible for this area? Like, I imagine a community garden, I imagine that somebody's gonna forget to feed their animal on Sunday. I think, who's gonna make sure that the animals in this are taken care of and that we're not cited as a school district for poor animal care? I mean, there's a lot to manage with something like this.
There is, and that's gonna come down to the management by the ag department, by the ag teachers. We haven't figured out all the details of that yet, we don't wanna get the cart before the horse, but we know we're gonna have to put agreements in place with students and parents who wanna utilize the facility. We're gonna have to, there will be a presence there a lot by the ag teachers. It'll probably coincide with some of our responsibilities with our extended contracts in the summertime, making sure that that facility is maintained properly. That's part of the reason too that we want to have the teaching space in that facility, because then we will be there utilizing it more fully on a more regular basis. So it's really going to come down to the ag program and the management of the ag program.
Travis and I were able to go around and look at a few of the other land labs, and this is a little bit, this is built kind of after Burley, but we saw Kimberly, and they actually had just pens lined up, but they had some protocols into place so not reinventing the wheel completely, but knowing what we gotta do. I would take some responsibility in that as well, to make sure that we would have cameras in place, and we want the utmost security, but also we gotta be responsible neighbors. So that's in place.
I've also toured facilities, similar facilities in California and Arizona, where I've got some contacts. I did my student teaching in California. And this is gonna be sort of a new thing for Idaho. There's very few programs and facilities like this in Idaho, but they're very common in other places. And I have some resources already that we're gonna be able to follow and model after for the management.
And then would there be fees for students to utilize this area to store an animal, or is it open to everyone? There's not a lot of stalls here, so.
Well, we're gonna have to sort of see what the interest level is once it's built.
And we can't get too big, because then we get into commercialization if we have a
Oh,
certain
for
number
sure.
of pens. So we're trying to maximize the pens to fit under city code and then make it manageable for Mr. Edwards as well.
And our goal isn't to make money off of his students, but we do need to make sure the costs are covered so that the school district and the ag program are not covering the costs.
Right.
And that's gonna be part of the business model that the students are learning, is part of the cost of raising your livestock is paying your bills.
And then ongoing care of this, like what's the budget for that? Because we're not maintaining the buildings that we already have, and so where would the funds come for continuing to maintain it once it's built?
Well, I would be able to include some career technical education costs, some of our CTC money that we would add extra to the ag program to maintain the building.
I feel like I have a lot of questions that might, I know we're saying we don't want to get the cart before the horse, but I feel like allowing them to put a pump station on our property is like saying we're gonna do this on that property. So I feel like we have a lot of questions that need to be answered about the future of it. Like getting it built, great. I think I see a lot of great goals, but it's gonna cost us a lot of money in the long run to maintain. And so I just wonder if we need to make a better plan in order to move forward financially. We're worried about $8,000. We're worried about $500. So building it is step one, but what's 10 years look like on this?
I don't think anybody's gonna know that answer yet. I think we gotta give them permission to go down this and get it figured out.
So the action item is about the pump station?
It's about giving us authorization to use the 5.25 or 5.23 acres to just approve putting a pump station there, and then allowing us to use the acreage of the land to move forward with the process, because you're right, there's a lot of planning still left to do, but we have to start with the plan, because we can't submit a plan to the city without where's the location, the drawings, and then Mr. Vickers has to go with his community partners and that to move forward, and then, to your point, get a plan. What is the 10-year plan? What is the maintenance plan? What is the plan on that? So,
I think one thing that I would like to see is I just wanna make sure that the city gives us something in writing that we know exactly what's being given to us if we give them that pump station.
Absolutely.
Like, we.
No, absolutely, because there's a lot of infrastructure, like who digs the sewer pipe, and they're gonna pipe it for when we do it, because we have more land there that access that, is EDUs, the sewer counts that you have to purchase and those things. And so yes, we will make sure we maximize our leverage with the city on what there, so it's not just we're taking it, we've got to get leverage back. I agree 100%.
I would propose if we give the go-ahead for the city to put that pump station in there, that there's some contingencies on that action item with the city.
So more
Like,
specifically.
can you bring the deal back to us after you negotiate
Yeah.
for
Yep.
approval?
Yeah, we need
Yeah.
to.
So,
we need to
right,
have-
you guys gotta approve it, and they gotta go to their manager, so Mike Borsick from the city, he's gonna go to his engineer, they gotta propose, we work things out, they gotta go to the city council, and we gotta bring it back here, so yes.
So can we make a motion to allow the investigation of the pump station without,
How about allow pending, offer from the city?
Yeah, I mean, it's something like that, so I'll make a motion to approve the city to use that corner of the property for their pump station with the contingency, that it's gonna,
Benefit.
it's gonna help pay for our project with the approval of the board.
Okay.
One
Something like
question, when you
that.
talk about the business side, do you discuss like maybe contracts where students have to be in a contract so they're in the stall taking care of their animals? Do you consider that type of?
Yes,
agreement?
there will be an expectation for the amount of time and care that the students are putting in, as well as covering the costs associated with feed
Yeah.
and.
I would have to say for the FFA program, like we're 1 or 2 in the state, and as far as our students in that program, and this is a testament to our teachers that are running that program, I would put my money on those kids. And those are the kids that are responsible, those are the kids that are stepping up to the plate. Those are the kids that we need to help and not worry about so much.
We also expect that most of the projects that are gonna be housed here are gonna be seasonal fair projects. They'll get them in the fall for beef or the spring for the other species, and then they'll be gone after the fair for the most part.
And that was one of the contingencies for the permitting process, is that it was seasonal, it wasn't annual with the city permitting process.
I appreciate all the questions you guys are asking, I agree with you, but I do like the idea, speaking as I didn't come from a farmland person, to give kids an opportunity to go into that, to understand that. And so I think it's very valuable to our kids to have that option. But I do agree with these guys, it's something that we have to be careful what we're doing and how we do it, so. All right, so your motion as is, did you get that motion, Deanne? Okay, do I have a second?
I got,
Second.
okay. I don't
Did
really
you wanna read
understand
that?
it. Can somebody read it?
Sure.
again? Sorry.
Do you want to read it back, Deanne, to us?
I have use the land for the pump station with the contingency that the city will partner with KSD for King School District.
Can we use the 5 acres?
And
to-
with-
And we will readdress that to approve what they come back with.
Yeah, we want to see it again before
Yeah.
it's
Can we
done.
use the other 5 acres too?
For the building?
For the building, yeah.
Okay, so we need that in the motion, is what you're saying.
I think so.
So the 5 acres has already been approved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought we
That,
already.
that, the
approved
5
it.
acres was approved
So
in the spring.
basically, it's
So
just
we've
the-
got the 5 acres.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'd like to keep the 5
Yeah.
acres and then add this little piece rather than take that little piece out of ours.
Right.
And I thought it was kind of a weird shape. Are you okay with that,
Yeah.
Travis? As
Well, we were
part-
still talking about the top end of that, because
Yeah,
that
it
comes to a pretty narrow
point.
triangle.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
I think we still have some flexibility to decide
do.
that.
But that's
But the part down by the road where it comes to that triangle by the canal.
Right.
Really is not very usable either, and that would be a great place to.
For
To do the
pump.
pump station?
Pump station.
Yeah. And the city agreed with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I think my motion,
Are you okay with that, Hillary?
With the addition of it'll come to the board again, yeah.
Okay.
and so I guess on my motion, we're gonna add the 5.25 acres.
All right. And did I have a second?
I second.
Okay. And then, any discussion, any more discussion?
No.
All right, Kirsty?
Aye.
And Michael? And JD?
Aye.
And
Aye.
Hillary? And I'm an aye also.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you
If
very much.
Want to ask more questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to give you a call or meet with you at some
All right,
point.
thanks Travis, appreciate
And
that.
I'm available as well.
Okay, thank you.
We're a work in progress.
Yeah.
I mean, really, when we didn't get the 1.34 million, it came down to what can you do with this money? And so, we're making work.
Yeah, don't we do that in education all the time?
Yes.
So that's
He's
how
not
it
excited
works.
or anything.
Yeah, it's
Very
great.
excited about it.
Some uncharted waters.
Yeah.
That's what I love.
All right. And now we have a recommendation from the Library Review Committee as an action item.
Yeah, so I'm gonna, Kevin Gifford is going to take over from this, but I'll just start it by saying that last month, you had the third reading and approved the Library Resource Center material policy 650.2, the complaint form policy. So we have our first complaint
Okay.
now, and Kevin Gifford was the designated district person to take this over, and so he's going to speak to it.
Chairman and trustees, I just wanted to explain, excuse me, explain the process we went through, because it's a new, obviously it's a new policy, so it's a new procedure for everybody. It was a good learning experience, I think, for all of us. It's a series of the three policies, 650, which has the objectives of having libraries in our schools, and also the selection criteria that should be used for selecting the materials. 650.1, which is the process that we went through if there is a challenge to any of those resources. And 650.2 is the actual form and the recommendation. So those three combination of policies is what we're using here tonight. The challenge we received on September 13th was for a book called The Bluest Eye. It's housed at Kuna High School's library. Principal Reno verified that it was a valid complaint from a patron and forwarded it on to me. Superintendent Bechdel designated me to chair this committee. So according to our policy, when it's a book at a secondary school, the committee has to be composed of a chair, which is either a superintendent or designee, which I served as the chair, 2 librarians from other schools, 2 parents from the school, and a secondary school has also have a student. So we convened a review committee with librarians Lisa Gamboa from Hubbard Elementary and Karen Stringer from Crimson Point, parent Amanda Shepard from the high school and Melody Kallmeyer from the high school, and Joey Strickland, who's the student body president, was the student that served on the review committee with me. We met on September 26th, which was within the 10-day requirement to review it. At that review meeting, I shared the complaint form, which also included a couple of reviews from outside sources that were submitted. We reviewed the policy and the procedure to make sure everybody understood. Then Ms. Ashby, the librarian from Kuna High School, came and presented her reasons and rationale for why the book was selected. And she wasn't the librarian at the time that it was selected. This book was published in 1970. It's been in the Kuna High School Library since 1991. In that time, it's been checked out 18 times. In the last 5 years, it's been checked out twice. A little over a year ago, when we started our practice, at that time was a practice, we didn't have a policy of having books in a restricted section. This is one of the books that was put in our restricted section. At Kuna High School, what that looks like is those books are housed behind the counter where students don't have access to it. And it requires a signed parent permission slip to check out a book from that section. I did check with our librarian there and the principal there. To their knowledge, there's never been anyone to take one of the books from the restricted section. I mean, obviously it could happen, but it hasn't happened to this point. So Ms. Ashby came and presented to the committee, and then we were able to ask her questions. We then dismissed her, and Ms. Hardy came and presented her complaint and her support evidence for it, and we were also able to ask her questions. And then the committee we dismissed her, and then the committee deliberated and discussed what had been shared with us. This is speaking just for me, but I feel like I can probably represent the committee as well. We felt like both the librarian and our parent presented valid arguments. And there was really good questions and discussion. I was super impressed with our student especially. He asked really some good critical questions. So we considered everything that was presented to us, and then we voted on a recommendation. And so that form is also submitted there for you. The recommendation of the committee, it was a 6-0 vote to retain the material in the restricted section where it currently is, and with required signed parent permission to check out the book. And then summarize the discussion of our committee, which they all then had a chance to see before they signed the recommendation form. And this is the summary statement that our committee agreed to. Evidence presented to the committee shows, when taken as a whole, The Bluest Eye possesses serious literary, artistic, and political value for some minors, and could also be deemed harmful to some minors, depending on the development of the minor and the purpose for reading, and support available in understanding the content of the book and its intent. There's also a cultural value that some in our growing culturally diverse committee would connect to. We feel the best solution available to a divided community is to restrict the book to minor students, but allow all parents the right to choose if this book brings value or could be harmful to their child. We recommend by doing this by keeping the book in the restricted section, which requires signed parental consent for a minor to check it out. And then the committee members signed that. I thought it was a good process. I was impressed with the information shared with us. Good discussion about it. It's not an easy place to be because our community truly is divided. There's lots of different opinions on what is valuable and what is harmful. The policy and the law make it very clear, the definition though. But there's also allowance in both the law and the policy to take reasonable action to protect minors by having it in some restriction on the book or a restricted section, those types of things. So we felt, again, like that's the best possible solution that honors the rights of all parents to choose what they feel is best for their kids. For me personally, I thought this was one of the reviews that was submitted by our parent from Squeaky Clean Reviews. The conclusion of the book kind of summarized where I did not read the book. I read many reviews about it. I listened to the presentations. In fact, our two librarians that served on the committee both took the time to read the book, and then our high school librarian read. I think they're the only ones that actually read the whole book. But this conclusion in the review, which you have in your packet, it says, arguably, Morrison is the author, one of Morrison's most accessible books, The Bluest Eye, is a deeply disturbing story that is best read with other people who are willing to thoroughly discuss and explore the book's message with you. It is definitely not an entertaining or escapist piece of fiction. However, it rewards a careful reader with many thought-provoking questions and meditations on meaningful issues like racism, relationships of all types, social responsibility, love, the nature of beauty, and identity. So even this review, which was critical of parts of the book, I think validated that there is also value to it. So again, our committee recommendation was to keep it where it was at so that it is restricted for minors. We're taking reasonable steps to protect them, but it also preserves the rights of parents to choose for their own children if there's value to the book or if it will be harmful to their child, depending on their child's abilities. So that's the process, that's the recommendation from the committee. In the policy, it also then allows for our librarian to address the board and our parent to address the board and share information with you. And then it's up to you to decide how you want to proceed.
Okay.
So I don't know if you have any more questions for me or.
Any more questions for Mr. Gifford?
What year was the book written?
1970.
I just have a question, just after since this is the first time going through the policy, like what, if there's something that you would change about how the process went, or, I know we just barely.
The hardest part, it was very time consuming, but part of that's too because it's the first time we've done it. Our policy says that you could also create a standing committee, but that's not a reality because there's different requirements for wherever the book comes from. If it's a secondary book, you have to have a student. If it's elementary school, you don't need a student. You have to have parents from the school, but librarians not from the school. So it's gonna be really hard to have that same committee. So I think that's gonna be the hardest part going forward, is if we continue to get challenges, as systematizing it so it's not so time consuming, because I would prefer not to spend a lot of my time doing it, but I understand it, it's valuable to our community, but systematizing it so it's not a time consuming. I mean, I hope that for the most part, because the policy does suggest that you first talk informally, and there's opportunities for parents to restrict their own child's access to it. I hope that that's mainly what we do. I don't see this as, hopefully it's not something that we have to do regularly. And I especially like, because we already implemented our policy, or practice, which is now policy of the restricted section, I'm hoping that that's where we can settle the more controversial items, so that it's, you know, again, we honor the intent of the law, which is protecting minors, but we also honor the rights of all parents to choose what they believe is harmful or has value to their children. So I guess that's what I've learned from it.
And how did you feel having a student involved in the discussion?
I loved it, honestly, and I don't know, Joey Strickland is our student body president, and maybe he's more mature than a lot of other students I know, but like I said, he asked really critical questions of both our librarian and our parents, so it was really quite interesting to hear his perspective. And I felt like he was equally engaged and equally thoughtful as any of the adults on the committee, so I really did enjoy that, quite honestly. I'm not sure middle school what that will be like if we get to that experience, but might be a little different experience, we'll see. So.
All right.
Okay.
And now the policy allows our librarian to speak and then
Yeah.
also.
And you determine how long, and if you have questions, it's up to you as a, I don't
We
run
kind
this
of do
meeting,
3
so-
minutes, so I'd like to stick to that if you're okay with that. It just helps us, so.
I'll try to be quick. The book, The Bluest Eye, deals with complex themes such as identity, racism, trauma, and self-worth, which can help students engage in critical thinking and develop empathy. Morrison's exploration of systemic racism, beauty standards, and personal trauma can spark meaningful discussions on important societal issues. An article quotes a high school teacher in Georgia who teaches The Bluest Eye in her AP English class. She says, the novel helps us break down barriers with students. After reading the book, I had a student who said that she was the product of incest, and I also had a student who said that she was molested by her uncle. The book allows us to help them heal in ways that we as educators couldn't help them heal on our own. A teacher at KHS said, books that make us uncomfortable have the most power. I wholeheartedly agree with her. Literature like The Bluest Eye can be a powerful educational resource and teach us lessons that will stay with us forever. Personally, my favorite part of this book was the afterword, where the author explained some of her motivations when writing this book. She describes a time in elementary school when a peer told her she desperately wished to have blue eyes. Toni Morrison said, the bluest eye was my effort to say something about why she prayed for such radical an alteration. Implicit in her desire was racial self-loathing. I focused on how something as grotesque as the demonization of an entire race could take root inside of the most delicate member of society, a child, the most vulnerable member, a female. Reading the author's intentions and experiences made me really appreciate this novel and its depiction of the human experience. The Bluest Eye gives voice to marginalized characters and communities, offering students the opportunity to explore perspectives they may not encounter in their daily lives. Banning the book does not protect students from these issues, it merely avoids important conversations. Educators can help students navigate these discussions with sensitivity and care. Censorship can set a dangerous precedent, limiting the ability of students to explore differing viewpoints and make up their own minds about important topics. Rather than banning the book, the school currently offers the option to read it only after parental consent is granted. This approach respects individual family values while allowing access to important literary works for other students. A parent from KHS who wishes to remain anonymous asked me to share the following. As a parent of a young woman, I want my child to have the ability to check out this book. I feel like she is advanced enough that she and I could have extremely powerful conversations about The Bluest Eye. My daughter has traveled the world. She has dealt with significant hardships. She is going to college soon. As a parent, my choice would be for my daughter to have the ability to read this book. Someone else's child may not be ready for this book, and that is fine. That is the choice of that child's parent. That is not my choice for my child, because I believe my daughter is capable of reading this book and learning and appreciating the literary value. Having said that, if a person believes they can be in charge of my child's ability to read literature, I take offense as it is not their place. In conclusion, I believe that parents should be prepared to discuss mature themes with their children and help them understand situations that happen in the world. In the parent restricted section, each family has the agency to decide for themselves what is appropriate, and parents are warned to discuss things with their child and the books that they are reading. Some parents are going to be okay with the content in this book and would allow their child to read it. Are you going to limit their agency to allow their students the freedom to read and learn from diverse ideas?
Thank you. You did pretty good. Almost
Did you have
got it
any
all.
questions?
Are there any questions for the librarian at this time? No, thank you. All right. And then I believe from Christy Hardy, who put in the request, if I'm correct. And I just
go over it, Tish, too.
That's fine. One thing though, I just need to, I noticed on your address, you have 2457 North Sunset Farm Road, but it's Road Avenue?
It says one thing on the street, and it says another thing at the post office, so it's both.
Okay.
Or
was-
neither.
Okay, just
Road
wanted
or
to make
avenue.
sure.
I get them both ways.
All right. Go ahead.
Okay. So to begin with, I just want to mention that this exercise is not about banning books from society or anything. I find that accusation kind of silly. There are countless ways this book can be accessed. In fact, you could probably download it right now instantly. And I checked it out from the Kuna Public Library. The issue at hand is whether the book belongs in the school library. And I'm simply exercising my right, as established in the law and the policy, to ask for an evaluation. Idaho Statute 33512 states, in part, that the Board of Trustees of each school district shall have the duty to protect the morals of the pupils. Idaho law also requires libraries to protect children from harmful materials. This is defined as materials that include descriptions of nudity, sexual conduct, sexual excitement, sadomasochistic abuse, intimate sexual acts, masturbation, excretory functions, or lewd exhibition. A book only needs to contain one of these items to be considered harmful to minors. The Bluest Eye contains every single one listed, plus as a bonus, bestiality and incest, with detailed descriptions of all of these things. I actually could not bring myself to finish reading it. I hope you have looked over some of the reviews that I provided. I don't really think I'll go into any of the details, but I will concede that this book does contain cultural value, as described. The main theme is racism during the 1940s, and obviously we want our kids to learn about this. I would suggest, however, that there are countless other books that could be used to illustrate the harm of racism without the explicit sexual content. This book doesn't contain any unique educational information. I was told that this book has only been checked out twice in the last 5 years, which I didn't know before the committee, and that it requires parental permission to do so. But if you ignore the noise about censorship and just think about it logically, keeping the book doesn't really pass the common sense test, to protect this book that's hardly ever used. I understand that it's currently on restricted status, but that is not indicated in the Destiny catalog that's available to parents. And so when I asked the librarian about the book, I was told that they intentionally do not mark the books as restricted due to kids becoming more curious about them or stealing them. So I find that intentionally mismarking the books leaves a feeling of mistrust. Just a note about censorship, our school district currently uses a program called BARK, which does web filtering to block or allow specific websites or entire categories. This is a welcome censoring program that protects children from harmful language and images. And it's my opinion that schools should be as diligent in protecting children from printed material as digital. You will not find this book in West Ada or Nampa School District high school libraries. As a school board, you are essentially left to decide if the cultural relevance is more important than the harmful sexual themes. I would suggest that it is not the responsibility of Kuna School District to possess every single book that contains cultural value. So maybe you could just let this one go. I would offer a solution. If you wanted to donate this book, decide to donate it somewhere, I'd be happy to replace it with a couple of other ones that the librarian chose that have the same sort of historical relevance along the racial inequality themes. That's all.
Okay. I do have a question. You said that you checked it out from the Kuna Library?
Yeah.
Where was it at in the Kuna Library?
I don't know, because I got it digitally.
Oh, so you got it digitally?
Mhm.
Okay, that was my question.
I was gonna ask the same thing, like if it's available at the CUNA Public Library,
Yeah.
hard, like written, where is that located?
I assume it's a hard copy as well, but I don't
Yeah.
know, because I got it.
Because this law applies to all libraries too, not just
Right.
school libraries, so.
I
that would
knew
be
it
an
did,
issue.
so that was my question. Yeah.
So then if you donated it there, it's no longer your responsibility.
Okay.
No problem.
Any other questions?
I guess I'd ask the same question. I kinda wish I would've asked the librarian too, but I just wonder.
You can ask her.
I wonder what you thought of the process, just because we're wondering. It's a new process.
Yes. And I guess you could thank me for testing it out. I'll be the test guinea pig. A couple of things I want to notice, the timeline was not actually met. It says 10 days, and I understand that maybe what was understood as 10 business days. It's not written in the policy, so maybe you want to change that. But really, 10 days isn't enough anyways. If the book was offered to have everybody on the committee to read it, it's kind of hard to establish a committee, get the, timeline, and then to review the book, properly. So I really think you should have 30 days. That would be a revision I would suggest. And then also, as far as having a student on the committee, it sounds great, but if this book was actually determined to be harmful to minors by law, then his parents could have cause of action against the school district for having him on the committee. So then you just start writing checks every time you have a committee to the parents that if their kids are involved. I suppose if there was a written permission that they could be involved, that could be a solution. But certainly I wouldn't ever give that book to a child and say, go ahead and review it without, some of the other things in place. Yeah, I think that's about all. The questions were good. It did seem like I was on trial versus the book sometimes. I was placed outside by myself, the locked door, to wait for 30 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
I have some things to hand you, just to give you, so that you could, there might be some, just so you understand how, like what's restricted, how it's marked, because that is one of the things I brought up. Here you'll see like it's highlighted. This is a different library, a different book, and here it's not restricted, or it's not shown to be restricted. So I have that for you. And then also the committee asked me if I had an evaluation of the book by a therapist or a counselor to see if they would find there's some benefit for victims of sexual trauma. And so I went ahead and got that from the book.
Thank you. Did you say, Hillary, you had a question about it?
Oh, I just wondered about how the process was. I'm interested in the policy and how it worked mostly there.
I thought the policy went really well. It was kind of a time-consuming process, like you mentioned, but I thought we had a lot of great discussion as a group, and it was interesting to see how things played out and get to test out the process and talk to the other librarians about it. We talked about it on our PD day that was just recently, and it was fun to be able to talk to everybody about going through the process and kind of get to test it out and experience it.
Sounds like there was some good critical thinking going on.
Yeah, it was really good. It was a good process.
Thank you.
Can I clarify the timeline question?
Sure.
So on policy 650.1, it's page 2, number 3, within 10 school days of receipt of the challenge, the committee shall meet and review the challenge library resource. So we did meet the 10 school day.
The 10 school days. I like that because weekends should be weekends.
I thought I
Just
remembered that
saying.
in there.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any discussion before we have a motion?
Well, it's under the constricted area. I think that is helping with parental rights. And I think that I make a motion that we go with the recommendation of our committee.
I think it'd be
that
nice
serve on the
if we
committee.
allow other people to have conversation before I make a motion, but.
So the motion's on the table now, you can have a conversation.
Well,
Yeah.
after we have a second, then we can have a discussion, but.
Right.
So, is there a second then?
I'll second.
Okay, now, discussion, go ahead, Hillary.
Well, I just was speaking in general, not necessarily about the motion, is that still
Okay.
okay?
Yeah, no, you can, we can talk about anything under
Okay.
the discussion.
I just think it's a tricky thing to balance parental rights and what's appropriate for kids. I can see both sides of the argument, and I think that, I like this policy because it puts together a committee to make the decision. I personally couldn't make the decision without having read the book or going through a process, so I like the idea of having the committee meet and go through this, and I think that helps as a board to be able to have that resource so that we don't have to read every book.
And I agree with you, I like the idea of also hearing what they decided and how they decided. That helps us a lot, so I really think the policy was good too, I like it.
And while I probably wouldn't recommend or sign for my own child to read it, I'm nervous about taking away the rights of maybe other parents that would, because I want to protect my own rights for my children to read books that I do find not offensive, that someone else might find offensive. So
Yeah,
I guess we're in a tricky spot, but I do think that the committee is a positive.
And I guess I kind of feel the same way. There is parental rights here because the book is not out for parents or for kids to get. And so for me, as a parent, that is my parent rights. I don't want that to be taken away if someone thinks it's good for their child because they've gone through that or whatever the parent deems. That I think that they have a right to have that as long as the child has permission from the parent. As much as I personally probably would not want my child reading that, I will be honest with you. I don't feel I can take that right away from another parent because it is the right of the parents to decide. So that's kind of where I'm hanging out.
I don't know if anybody else has anything else. I don't want to do all the talking, but I also just do kind of see the point of not necessarily needing to have it in the school because there's access to so many books otherwise. It's nice for us to not have to be dealing with these kinds of things. So if we didn't have so many restricted books and we left that to the public libraries, maybe it would be helpful.
That was one of my questions.
For us.
How many books do we have in the restricted area? Just curious.
About 20-ish.
Just 20-ish?
Yeah.
Okay. So not a whole bunch?
Not a whole
So wouldn't it be nice to just not have those in the library and let this public library have them so we don't have to have this continual issue?
You're kind of infringing on parental rights.
Yeah, I think you are too.
Well, I mean, not really, because they can check it out. It's not like I'm telling them they can't. Like, we're not responsible to have every book.
I think that's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah, but I
than
mean,
this
just
one.
something to bring up. I certainly agree with you, yeah.
I think that's a
Another
whole different discussion.
And we do have the law, and that's what this policy is based on.
Right,
so.
right, and the policy. And I think if there's an issue, maybe it should be with the Kuna Library. I don't know where it's at there, you know.
Yeah, I don't either.
So just curious. But anyway, any other discussion? So then we have a first, and then we have a second. So let's go ahead and vote. Kirsten?
Aye.
Okay. I as in we're keeping it in.
That's his motion.
Yeah, just double checking.
We're keeping it.
It's been a while.
Can you maybe say the motion again? Sorry.
After all
JD
we're
made a
talking.
motion to go with the recommendation of the committee to
Yep.
have the book remain in the restricted
Yeah,
area.
okay, she said aye, okay.
Aye.
JD?
Aye.
The other thing is, I'm just gonna say real quick, if we have a policy, if we have a committee and we're doing a policy, I think we need to also acknowledge them and their decision too, so I'm gonna say aye also. So, all right, do we need to talk to the?
Yeah, he is.
Is he on here now? Okay. So we're gonna go back up to the financial statements. Dan Coleman? There he is.
Quest.
Quest.
What number is that under?
It is number 1,
Oh.
under new business.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Okay, can you hear us?
That's what I think.
Do they need help up there?
I don't know what that was. They were practicing.
Can you hear us?
I'm here, this,
Oh,
can you guys hear me?
Yes.
yeah, totally.
Okay, is it my turn? Would you like me to start now?
Yes, please go ahead.
Where are we?
Okay, excellent. My name is Dan Coleman. I did the audit for your school this last year. First time that we've done the audit for you. And so I'll present on that audit process tonight. Normally, we like to cover just a few things in the audit report, just hit the highlights, and then open it up for questions or discussions at the end. And so, as far as the audit process goes, early in June, we sent out a shopping list that has a number of items that we would like to review for the audit. We sent that out to Elmira this year. As of June 30, there's the first batch of information that she sends over to us. And then we pick a date later on in the year to finish up the audit. And so that shopping list contains all the information that we would like to review for the audit. And so as we went through all of the information, everything checked out good. All of the samples that we looked at, the internal controls, taking a look at account balances, all of those things checked out just fine. Nothing negative that I came across in the audit process. Everything was good. So we appreciate Elmira getting that information ready to us and her staff and allowing us to do the audit. There are 3 reports I'll mention just briefly. Pages 1 through 4 is the auditor's report. That's where we express an opinion on the financial statements. We've issued an unmodified opinion. That's the best opinion that we can give. Means that the financial information is accurate and can be relied upon. So very good job there. Second report is on pages 49 through 50. We also take a look at internal controls and compliance. And so when we come out to do an audit, there's a list of internal controls that we like to see a school have. We'll compare that with what you have. And then we'll make some suggestions if we feel like there's anything missing. That is also a clean report. All the controls that we'd like to see have been implemented there at Kuna. And so that report is in good shape, no findings. Third report I'll mention just briefly on pages 51 through 53. When a school spends over $750,000, it requires that we do an extra audit. So we take a look at the financial statements, and then we also take a look at it. It's called a single audit. And so we'll look at the school's federal major programs to make sure that those are all in order. You guys spent just over $7 million of federal money this last year. So it did require a single audit. And that report, everything checked out fine as well. So 3 reports, all 3 clean. Very good job.
Yep. Thank you.
Good for Brett.
Yep.
Yeah, good for Brad. Any questions then from anybody before we?
I don't know if he was done, was he?
Are you finished?
No.
Oh, sorry.
I'm not. I'm sorry. I kind of paused like I was, but we can jump.
You're good.
Yeah. Let's jump into the numbers just real quick. I mean, there's a lot of information here, and so I'm always trying to decide how much you guys actually would like to look at. But if we turn to page 10, on page 10, we're looking at the school's major funds. You guys have 3 of those, and usually we'll review those major funds. So that first column is the general fund. So looking at that first column, third number from the bottom, net change in fund balance, $2,571,703. So our revenues exceeded our expenses in the general fund, $2.5 million. Very bottom number, ending fund balance, $11,432,919. So as of June 30, your school ended with $11 million in the general fund. Based on what you guys spend on average per month, that comes out to be about a 3-month operating reserve, meaning that 11 million would cover 3 months of your general fund expenses. We recommend a month and a half to 3 months, and so you guys are sitting at the high end of our recommendation, so doing well in the general fund. Second column over, child nutrition fund, third number from the bottom, $78,345. That's in parentheses, so we had a loss in the child nutrition fund. Very bottom number, ending fund balance, $459,943. Child nutrition funds this last year that we've audited for schools have shown losses for several reasons. The federal reimbursement rate has decreased. COVID money has gone away. And inflation and higher food costs is what we're experiencing currently. So those are 3 of probably the best reasons I can give for a loss in that child nutrition fund. Good news is you had enough fund balance there to absorb that loss, and you ended with $459,000 there. Third column over, bond fund. Very bottom number there, $9,910,557. I know that your guys' debt payments this next year are about $4.6 million. And so we have enough money in that ending fund balance to cover next year's debt payments. And so that's what we like to look for there in the bond fund. You guys have several non-major funds. They are located further back in the audit report. I mean, if you wanted to review those, they start on page 40 is a good place to review those. Page 40 through 47. We do take a look at the non-major funds as well as the major. Everything checked out fine. So those are in good shape as well. As far as changes this last year, so Elmira did a wonderful job of keeping track of the finances. The information that she submitted was very detailed. And of course, you guys already know this. The financial statements were pretty much drafted by Elmira. And so she did a wonderful job. This last year, a couple of new things that we came across. We did some additional testing with attendance and staffing. We asked for extra documentation there. All the information that Elmira and her staff provided checked out just fine. And so the State Department of Education asked us to take a closer look at it. Everything checked out good. So, and then just one other thing I'll mention briefly, facilities funding has changed a lot for schools this last year. The way that the state has provided funding for facility maintenance is changing a lot. And so last year to this year, there'll be some big changes that we'll review under audit for fiscal year 25. I assume that you guys have probably already discussed a lot of that. So anyways, everything checked out good. Really appreciate the opportunity to audit your school. And I'll turn this back over to you guys, and then I'm available for questions if you have any.
All right, any questions at this time? Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you.
Your report, appreciate it. Any questions?
No. Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Go ahead, ask it.
Did the state ask that additional investigation of all districts or just ours, or why was that?
Yeah, really good clarification point, right? Because if it's just you, then that's kind of suspect, but it was for all the schools. So they reached out to all the auditors in the state and said, for every school, will you guys please look at staffing and attendance?
And what specifically were they looking for with staffing and attendance?
Yep. So they wanted to make sure that your documentation was in good shape. So let me give you one example for attendance. We had Elmira send over attendance for all the students that you have at every level. We did a small sample where we said, okay, on September 15th, you said that Johnny was in class, that he was present. Will you send us the documentation you keep to prove that he was present? Or if he was absent, will you send us documentation to prove that he was absent? So we reviewed attendance information in that way. For staffing, when you guys hire staff, there is a lot of documentation that you're required to keep on hand. Transcripts, resumes, certifications, all of those kinds of things. And so we did a sample of your staff and said, okay, for these 10 employees, send over all the documentation that you've kept on them. And so really just taking a closer look at your documentation.
Is that mainly for funding then from the state? Is that what they're looking at, kinda?
Yeah, attendance, as you guys know, ties in directly with funding, right? The money that you get is based on attendance. So indirectly, it does influence the money that you receive. I don't think that's the reason why they had us do it in particular, although indirectly it affects your funding. I think they just wanted to make sure that your documentation was in good order. I think their auditor pressed them to have somebody look at it, and so they asked us to do it.
Any other questions? Or?
No.
You did a great job.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So, thanks for hanging around.
Yeah, thanks for being here tonight. Really appreciate it. Thanks for letting us work with you. Have a good night.
I make a motion that we approve the financial statements from Quest CPAs and Dan Coleman.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, any more discussion? Okay, Hillary.
Aye.
JD.
Aye.
Michael. Kirsty. And myself. Aye also. All right. So, we are down to discussing the upcoming ISBA resolutions, and just because I know we have a couple of new board members, every year ISBA takes certain resolutions to the legislature for them to look at and to kind of have an idea of what the school boards want in the state. And these are the resolutions that come, and then we vote on them as a whole, and so that they can see which resolutions are the most important to the school boards in the state. I guess that'd be the easiest way to put it. So these are the resolutions that they would like to vote on. And so what happens is, one of us, probably me, will go, and then I will put in our votes of whatever we decide. There's 5 of us that decide yes, or 3 or 2, or if we say no. So we kind of go over it to ask questions. These resolutions are brought up by school districts and ways that they'd like to see the state help us more as school board entities. So the first one.
Are we going over each one of these resolutions?
Yeah, and we have to vote whether yes, no.
For the love.
I know, that is correct. That's probably why I was like going, here we go. First one is local control for school safety. It's brought up by Marcy, Melba, and Fruitland, which is our smaller school districts. And basically it's to empower local school and charter boards to play an active role in development and implementation of school safety measures. A lot of these people cannot hire SROs, and so they would like different ways of looking at that. They also would like more local control, let's say carrying guns in the school type thing.
I wasn't able to click on any of these links, so I didn't research these ahead of time.
Is this because of the law that they tried to pass?
Yeah, and so now this isn't a law, this is just,
No, I mean the law and this
a resolution. The smaller school districts would like more local control of that. So, the school board, ISBA, and their committee recommends a do pass on this. So, how do you guys feel about that?
I don't have enough information to make a decision.
Okay.
Basically, it's saying that it's to give the school district and the school board the ability to decide who should carry guns and who shouldn't, if we should have weapons
or
in
whatever,
school.
whatever would be
You
safety.
read the statement of purpose.
Yes.
Real quick, and it kind of talks about.
That's
She said
exactly.
she didn't get to, so that's why I was.
I'm in favor of their school districts being in charge of their own policies.
And that's kind of
If they
what.
wanna do that, I say yes.
Okay. So, do I have 4 yeses, and then you're not sure, Hillary?
Oh, did we vote?
Yeah, we have to, so then I take that back to
Okay.
the convention.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, I'll vote yes on that.
So that's a 5 yes.
I've just read it.
Okay.
Is it in our, did I miss it somehow? Is
I
this
think
in
we
our-
sent it
I
out
sent
on,
it to you individually in your email.
like Tuesday
Today.
before.
No, it was Friday.
Was it?
I
I thought I sent
just
it.
got it.
I got it.
Wednesday
I saw it last week.
Yeah.
Just saw it today. in my
So
email.
I asked for it to be
I
sent
don't
out
think I
Wednesday. I
got
thought
it.
Deanne did.
I can't log into my thing, so I'm looking at my phone.
Okay.
So,
So, 3 is funding safe and secure schools. This is to give people more to hire different people. So security personnel, security infrastructure, mental, again, it's giving more to us as school district emergency preparedness and community engagement programs. So it's to help us fund our safe and secure schools, and you're right, if you read the statement of purpose, it kind of gives you an idea.
I'm with ISBA on the due pass.
Okay,
I am as well.
okay. Kirsty
yeah.
and Hillary?
Hold on a second.
And we use that safe and drug-free for an SRO.
Yeah.
It is unreliable, it varies from year to year, but it goes up.
Yeah,
stuff, but
and
we count
some
it.
of these rural school districts want to give more like mental health, they want to broaden it a little bit, because they don't have that to do it, and it is a due pass. And this was submitted by the Caldwell School District.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, they were having troubles, that's why they need security. Okay, are you comfortable, Hillary, with this?
I am comfortable with that.
Okay, so, all right, the next one. This, let me see here.
It's early learning.
So you look at the statement of purpose, this one was brought in by Caldwell, inviting state and local leaders to support district efforts to improve early learning. So the statement of purpose is to invite and encourage state and local leaders to prioritize and support efforts to improve early learning in Idaho. I'm gonna go down. This resolution seeks to foster collaboration and commitment among all stakeholders to address the critical need for early childhood education in our state. As you know, they only fund half-day, then we have to fund it. And also, the state has sent back federal monies that was given to us for kindergarten at certain times. So this is to say, hey, we need more commitment from you as a legislature to help us with our early learning, so that we're not paying out of our budgets as much.
This one gets an amen.
Amen, I'll put that as a due pass. So, okay, is that a 5 then?
Yes for me.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm all about kindergarten.
Yeah, so basically they're saying, hey, kind of put your money where your mouth is. If you want us to do this, then help us fund it.
I'm in favor.
Okay, good. All right, the next one is restoration of lottery funds for school maintenance. This one's a little different. This was put in by
Four schools.
Twin Falls, Caldwell, and Melba, yep.
Yes, but what are the funds used for
Well,
now?
they took the lottery funds and they put it in the Bill 521, so now they don't have lottery funds. So if you're a small school district and you were getting that lottery funds, now you're not gonna get as much money as you were, because 521 has put it in there. And some of the bigger schools are gonna get the money, and you're not gonna get as much. So they're asking that they bring back the lottery funds, fund that differently, and use the lottery funds for some of these smaller school districts that are gonna be losing money. Does that make sense to you guys? So, and they recommend a due pass. So basically, they're saying, take the lottery out of 521 and put it back as a standalone for all the districts.
So they want to take 29 million out of the 521.
Basically, I don't know, yeah, 29 million.
After we get our 10 years. worth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think I can support that.
Okay.
I like 521.
They don't want to do away with 521.
Because they want to reduce the money in it, so.
I know, but I think we also need to pick the ones that we think are really important, because I
Yeah.
know that what's been
I
done
don't-
in the past, you know,
I can't get on board with
support
that.
everything.
Okay, so one
So-
no. I'm a yes, because I think we need as much money as we can. So take that lottery money, put it over here and fund this, keep funding 521. That's why I like
But
it.
it's saying it'll be a 29 million less.
521 is new too.
Yeah,
They're shafting the smaller schools.
they're shafting the smaller school
How
districts, because that
often
was
did
much.
they really get the lottery money though?
They did get it,
Consistently.
yeah,
They did.
yeah.
I'm a yes.
Okay, I'm a yes. Michael?
Yes.
Okay, and Kirsty?
Sure.
All right.
I don't have enough information to make a decision.
That's fine, I'll just.
You can probably
You
give it
can
a-
call me later if you want to.
I don't need to.
I don't need this till November.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. The next one is,
It's kind of the same thing.
this is to increase the term of supplemental maintenance and operational levies from a maximum of 2 years to a term not to exceed 6 years. So this is kind of interesting with the school district, Coeur d'Alene, and Boundary. Instead of doing a supplementally for 2 years, you could increase it up to 6 years as a school board if you deem that, because in some of the school districts are tired of going to the people all the time. So by doing it like, say, 3 years or 4 years, then you have a supplemental levy that long. You're not going every 2 years to the people.
And I mean, people still have to vote for it, so.
They do have to vote for it, so it gives you as a school board an opportunity to go, instead of just 2 years on a supplemental levy, you can go all the way up to 6 years.
So you're asking for more money essentially too?
No, you'd be
Well, it's the
asking the
same
same
amount
amount of
every
money,
year, but for
yeah.
6 years.
Well,
So
you could ask for
go.
more money, you just,
Right.
because it would be for 6 years worth.
Or 3, 4, 5, which would be whatever
Yeah.
you
It's
deem
like
as
whatever
a
you
school
think
board.
you need.
It just gives us more leeway.
It
But
does give us.
People still
more
have to
leeway.
vote, so you just have to figure out what you think people will vote for.
Yeah, but it gives us more of a, I like the idea of not keeping going back to people all the time.
More options.
Yeah, I like that option.
I can support it.
It is a due pass, so.
I'm a yes.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
5 yeses. All right, number 7. Okay, this is another small school district. They want trustee spousal employment. Because they're so small, this was brought on by Midvale and Melba. Let's say you're on the school board and your wife's a teacher and they're having teacher shortages. They want to be able to hire that person, so that right now, you can't. We can't have anybody work for the school district that we're related to. So what it does is the intent of the resolution is to develop a process by which small school districts under 250 student enrollment, so it's not us.
Is that what Melba has, for real, 250 students?
I don't know, to answer your question.
You have to have more than
Could employ, it could be that they don't, but they're just coming along, because as a school district, then you can support that proposal, even if it doesn't go along with you, just to kind of give it some,
So it's to allow their spouse to work.
that they could, that it could happen. Could employ the spouse of one of their trustee members, with the trustee members remain on the school board.
I think that's reasonable for smaller school districts.
Yeah, for under 250. I know that they're having trouble finding teachers, and that kind of gives them.
Yeah, I think that's a yes.
So it's a due pass, so do I have 5 on that then?
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
Okay. All right. Number 8, this is an interesting one. So this was in opposition to diverting public dollars to private or parochial schools, including vouchers, the granting of a tax credit for scholarship donors, or amending Article 9 to allow public funds to be used for private schools. Basically, and it took me a while to understand all of this, is Boise, Caldwell, and Melba are basically stating, we as a school board do not like vouchers. We don't want vouchers. We want public schools to stay public, so if you read, there's a whole big statement of purpose. It's huge, and it goes into a lot, but basically, a voucher tax credit or scholarship program would irreparably harm our existing system of public school districts and charters, especially in rural Idaho, would likely harm overall student achievement. For the reasons outlined above, we oppose amending the Idaho State Constitution, Article 9. Idaho already has substantial choice in its public school system. So these school districts are saying, We have plenty of public choice. We recommend no vouchers. So it's a recommendation, basically. It is not, wouldn't be a law type thing. It's just a recommendation.
I'm a yes.
Okay?
I don't,
It's a do pass.
I can't vote one way or another on it. I
Okay.
don't have enough information.
Okay?
Yes for me.
Okay. And Kirsty?
I need more information too.
Okay. So I'll say 3 yes, and I won't put any no's unless you guys call me later and let me know how you feel.
I'll read through it and let you know if I
Sure.
change my mind.
All right, next one. Okay, number 10. This is CTE personnel funding latitude. So, basically 521, which is where we're looking at possibly building or taking care of our buildings. This is basically saying, okay, you're allowing us to build these buildings, but you're not giving us money to hire people in these positions. And not only that, a lot of the positions that are CTE, it's hard to get, especially in the rural areas, because they make more money being an electrician than teaching electrician. So this says, hey, you need to give us some money here so that we can hire these CTE people. So, statement of purpose, Idaho students have demonstrated increased interest in CTE pathways for future career options, necessitating Idaho's public schools to provide for educational activities supporting these interests from a very limited pool of qualified and available educators who specialize in CTE pathways. So what it is it's opening it up so that they have more latitude on hiring than what we have now.
I'm a yes.
Okay, it's a do pass, so,
I'm a yes.
okay,
Yes for me.
okay.
I can say yes.
Okay, so it's 5 on that one. All right, moving right along. Number 11 comes from West Bonner. So this is another small school district. We don't qualify, if I remember correctly. And it says, despite significant investments from the Idaho State Legislature, many school districts will struggle to repair or replace their aging school buildings. Replacing these outdated revolving loan grant fund with one that distributes funds based on need and prioritizes small rural school districts is a more equitable and reasonable way to ensure rural schools can provide safe and adequate facilities for Idaho students. So,
I mean, we don't really, maybe, do we have to weigh in on all of them? Because it doesn't seem to really apply to us.
it helps us, them to know how we feel as a school board. Just because, in my book, if we're a larger school district and they all say, well, we don't want it because you're larger type thing, this is just, how do we support all of the school boards in the state of Idaho?
So what is a revolving loan grant fund?
I'm going to look that up, good question.
I'm just gonna say no.
I just kind of feel like, could we pass because we don't, it doesn't apply and so we don't have enough
Well, it says
information?
here, what it does is, it would distribute monies to school districts and charter schools based on needs.
Yeah, I want our yeses to be important. If we say yes to everything, it takes away from that.
I pass.
Okay. It is a do pass recommendation, so I'm gonna say yes.
I'll say yes.
So is your guys' no, or are you just like?
I abstain.
Abstain,
Yeah.
okay, that's what I wanna know.
Abstain.
It, there's no resolutions this year for trying to pass the impact fees,
No.
or to lower the, or to make the bond at 50%. Like,
No.
those two resolutions should be there every year.
Well,
I don't
and,
see those in here.
no, they're not.
It looks like some school districts have really championed a lot of them. It doesn't look like our board did.
We know.
Well, we have in the past when Joy
Yeah.
was on here. But, that's, I think, yeah.
We have another, it's like every other, we have another option to do it, right?
So my understanding, and this is just my understanding, is we have asked for impact fees, and about 5 years ago, they said stop asking. So we just kind of stopped it
Yeah.
because it didn't go anywhere.
I don't care what they say, we need to keep doing
Yeah.
it.
So I will be glad to bring that to to the ISBA board, let them know that, but that's been the problem, is that it's always been a no, and they're like, not able to do that always. All right, so I'm gonna say yes, and then 3 abstain. And Michael, did you have a? Okay.
I said yes.
All right. Now we're on number 12. This is also from West Bonner. So both of these, you have to remember, West Bonner is really having issues with getting money. Yeah, and so that's why they want it. And in this case, this is kind of interesting.
I'm a definite no on this one.
There is no recommendation on this one.
Yeah.
So this one basically says, you as a school board could have a city tax that you could ask for. And so, I don't think that there's any way that that would pass, so I'm kind of a no too.
I'm a no.
So basically, they're saying your school board could ask for a tax on your.
Sales tax.
Yeah, sales tax, yep, exactly. So, okay, so, I don't think it has a chance to pass anyway, so, is that 5 no's on this one?
I think so. No for me.
Okay. All right, number 13. So this is amending Idaho school age statute to allow flexibility for school preparedness programs. So by amending the current age, it will allow flexibility for local districts and charter schools to use state dollars as they see appropriate in supporting children entering kindergarten. So right now, we cannot use any funding for kids under the age of 5. Okay? And this is saying, wait, maybe, why can't we, if we have preschool or kids that are smaller, we need money to help them also. So this would be saying we could use some money for 3 and 4-year-olds and not just the 5-year-olds, and make it more of a broader range.
We don't have money for the 5-year-olds, so I vote no.
Yeah, it says 66%.
We have to have more money in order to do that.
Well, 66% of the 3 and 4-year-olds in Idaho are currently not enrolled in the early childhood education program. And
Well, I
this-
think we said yes to full-time kindergarten and the state paying for it, so I think that kind of counts.
Says there are no dollars attached to the
Yeah,
change.
no dollars.
Yeah.
No.
It's just changing the code
Yeah,
to allow younger kids.
exactly, into that.
I think saying
Tell
yes to
them.
the first one is better.
I think what it'll do is it'll put pressure on school districts to create a program without any funding attached. And I think we should, if there's gonna be something with it, it should have money with it, so.
Okay.
I think no.
Yeah, no for
Okay.
me.
So I'm gonna say yes, so 2 no's. Michael and, okay?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and now we're on funding for special education.
That last one is just giving more flexibility to the districts.
Yes,
So it's,
to give it more, just, instead of just 5-year-olds, that we could also do 3 and 4. It's not necessarily a financial thing as much as you can use your money
it's just
to do flexibility in
I
your
think it
ages.
also will put pressure on the school district to do it though.
The board can vote on it.
Yeah. All right.
We've already moved on.
So, special education. Whereas the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act mandates that schools provide a free and appropriate public education. Just so you guys know that they, this is another one, I think that's for smaller school districts. Let me double check here. Yes. So they get so much money for as public, if you look as whereas the public charter school range from 0 to 30%, you can get 12% funding. And it goes on down. And what this is saying that you should be more equitable in your funding of special education. So some people in the smaller districts, let's take a look here, statement of purpose. What they want to do is to have more money to give special ed teachers more funding for their salaries. So we get FTEs for general population, but not for special ed. And we need those special ed people. So they're saying that they need to pitch in a little bit of money to help us hire special ed teachers.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
It's not mandated right now.
Well, but we kind of do have to have the special ed programs, but we
Yeah.
don't get any funding for it. So if we
Yeah.
have to have it, we should have money for it.
And the federal government requires that we do that, but yet they only give us 30% of federal funds. So this is just saying,
Let me guess.
yeah, it's gonna be hard to pass, so you guys know, because it's gonna ask for more money. But I think it's important that we have those teachers, so that's a 5 yes. Okay. All right. All right, the next one. Providing additional math and science funding for small schools to hire additional teachers. So this again is, if I remember correctly, has to do with a certain amount of.
Small.
Yeah, it's a small again.
320, yeah, well, that's 4 different ranges.
Yep, and basically it's because, yep, it says with enrollment of 99 less, you get so much money. If your school's 99 or less, you get 1.25 classified staff positions. So what's happening, if I remember correctly, is they're not finding sometimes the teachers that they need. So, statement of purpose, this allocates funds for school to hire additional high school math and science teachers or cover related costs. However, funding a fraction of a classified position, 1/9 or 2/7, is insufficient for hiring additional teachers or covering course expenses. Okay? So what they want to do is they want the small schools would like to have some FTEs to hire more classified to help with the math and science funding because they're having shortages of teachers.
I feel like everyone's having shortages of teachers.
That is true.
I like the funding for special ed, so I don't want to say yes to that.
Okay,
And
this
I
is a
kinda-
do pass.
I abstain from this one.
Same.
I'm gonna say yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And abstain too, so I don't worry about that. Just, I just need your no votes. All right. Strategic plan. Number 17. All right, so the SIP, which is the Continuous Improvement Plan, is something that we as a board and as a school district have that we turn into the state. So the CIP is kind of an overall, you can help me with this,
Yeah.
umbrella of what our goals are for the year. There are some people who say it's doubling up on the strategic plan. Now, the strategic plan allows you more, what I want to say, flexibility to ask more classified things, like we'd like to see things better in math or science or, and give a percentage type thing, where the SIP is more of an overall. Am I saying this right?
Yeah, the thing
Help
is,
me.
because I just turned this in, it was due,
Mhm.
what?
September 30th.
It was due, yeah. Anyway, so I got it, or turned in, but I used our strategic plan. You can use your district strategic plan, because it's usually a 5-6 year plan. So you are doubling up, there's no need to do 2 plans.
And that's-
Put your strategic plan in, the state, we live by that, it's a living document, but then they ask you to put in all these, the data that they already have. So you have to get it from the state and put it in there, so it's just double work.
And that's kind of what they're saying, is why can't we just take the SIP out and do the strategic plan instead
I
of
think it
doubling
makes
up and
sense.
causing more?
I vote
Yeah, I vote yes.
Okay, so that's a do pass, that's a yes. All right, and now, funding protection for school districts. So, regarding school district support units. Since the funding for schools have been reverted back to average daily attendance, most districts in the state required protection this past fall. In addition, many districts are facing enrollment decreases, therefore creating an even greater financial cliff year to year. By introducing this resolution, we aim to advocate for a funding formula that better reflects the actual needs and circumstances of our school districts, promoting financial stability and ability to provide consistent, high-quality education.
Yes.
So they're saying, stop giving kind of away our FTEs. Because some districts are kind of winners, some are losers, let's make it more equal to everybody,
I can support it.
okay? So let's buy this. All right. So, just so you know, just because they're gonna take the highest amount, and those are the ones that'll take the legislature. So, it's not like you have to vote for one or the other. You can vote for all of them on which ones you want them to take. And then as a school board, they'll decide which ones to take then to the legislature for the year. So, does everybody everybody okay with that? Woo-hoo.
I move that we,
Good of the order.
no,
Oh, consent agenda.
Yeah, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Okay, do I have a second? All right, any discussion? Okay, Hillary?
Aye.
JD?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Kirsty? And I'm definitely an aye. Okay, good of the order. ISBA annual convention's coming up November 6th through the 8th. And I know I'm gonna be attending. There's gonna be some really good classes, like how to get a levy passed or a bond passed, how to be a good board, how to, whatever, open meeting laws. So, okay. So, Michael, you wanted to, I know I'm going, and then I think Kim's going, Jason's going, Deanne's going. You?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll
Okay. And Hillary, did
I
you?
cannot go.
Okay. And Kirsty?
I'm a maybe.
Maybe?
Mhm.
Okay. So you'll have to let Deanne kind of know. Okay. All right.
Later, so I can get the registration.
Veterans Day assemblies. I was so excited I got to attend my first one last year. It was awesome, because I'd always been working, so I never did. But Kuna High School puts on a great Veterans Day assembly. It's really wonderful.
Yep.
So that's November 8th at 10 a.m. And I think that's it. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Have a second?
I second.
And let's just say, Kirsty, Michael, JD. I'm definitely an aye, sorry, you lose.